Ian,
Cristobal,
tonight
I punished you with a movie.
you certainly did, my friend. I have no idea why the hell we are talking about this movie.
Did you watch the trailer for this movie, Chris?
Hell no, I didn't watch the trailer, Ian. You know I didn't do that.
I watched this trailer and I legitimately thought this was a movie we were both going to enjoy. I really did. It had an element specifically for me and an element specifically for you. I thought these would combine and make an outstanding movie. The trailer looks good. You gotta admit, there's enough good shots in this movie. You could cut a good trailer.
Yeah. There's just 4
I'm sure you can see even without seeing the trailer, but having seen the movie, I'm sure you can see. Oh yeah, I could cut a trailer that looks good for this movie. It makes it appealing.
I looked up the plot. Whatever it was like, skaters get trapped in a cave and there's a monster. It was basically
it sounds great, right?
And then I looked at the poster for Darkslide, and I was like, God damn,
I forgot that was the poster.
Looks off the chains.
That's an unfortunate poster.
That is incredibly wrong.
That poster is a straight up lie.
That is a lie, Ian, and that is what we are talking about tonight. We are talking about the 2020 movie Darkslide that somehow was made in 2000, I think. 2001 sometime, because it feels very much like an early 2000s movie. All about skateboarding, not snowboarding. What do they call it in the
surfing?
Water? Surfing. Thank you.
Water snowboarding. I believe that's what they call it.
This movie is essentially an hour of skateboard and surfing montages mixed with a ripoff of The Descent, and then add a little sprinkling of hillbilly rape movies.
Yeah. So this movie is at its core. It's about loss. It's about death. It's about regret. It's about grief, and it's about shredding some motherfucking gnar, Chris.
Dude, it is. There is so much shredding in this movie. Yes.
Yeah. So I legitimately thought, because I love like a good, like when I was a kid, especially, and more so when I was a kid than now, like a good like extreme sports adventure-y kind of a movie. Airborne was one of my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
Surf Ninjas. I know a lot of people think that movie's stupid. I love that movie to this day. Yeah. So I'm thinking, we're gonna get the surfing, we're gonna get the skateboarding. It's gonna be awesome. And then halfway through this movie, it's gonna turn into a cave movie. You love The Descent, Chris. One of your favorite movies of this millennia.
Definitely.
So I legitimately thought we were both gonna have something for us in this one, and we were gonna love this one. I don't think this is going to make either one of our top 10 lists for 2021, though. Of course, I guess it's a 2020 movie anyway, but...
Well, the way you describe it, though,
I guess that'll keep up.
That is interesting. Remember, there's movies like that where it's like, well, this is an enthusiast niche kind of thing, but we're going to actually have a storyline that is generic enough that everyone can enjoy. You have... What was that Joseph Gordon-Levitt biking movie? It was like Biker Man. I forget what it was called. Extreme Biking or something, where he's like biking in New York. So it's like, there's a niche here, bikers enjoy seeing this kind of stuff. But there's
sometimes getting a peek into somebody else's niche can be fun too.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, I can understand the enthusiasm here, and it's a deeper world that I'm just not part of, and somehow this will relay into a cool plot.
I think Point Break is exceptionally good at that and related.
Point Break, there you go. We watched another movie like the first year of the podcast called Downhill, which is what we thought that movie was.
Yeah.
And that movie did the opposite, where it like completely forgoed its biking aspect and just made a horror movie.
It's kind of like Apocalypse as well.
Yeah.
There's no hockey action.
And that was the draw for you, was that niche of the hockey. So I get it coming into this. Like, okay, this is all about skater world and surfing world, and they talk like they're in the world.
There's a way I could describe this movie to get somebody excited into it, describing its elements, but then you don't realize necessarily that they're not the best. Because, this is a long movie, too. Dude. You messaged me like, God damn it, Ian, this movie's like over 2 hours. And first of all, I don't get why you always complain about the length of movies so goddamn much.
I'm a busy man. I got a lot going on.
If I'm having a great time with a movie, why not get more of it?
Because I wasn't.
But so like the first hour of this movie, it vacillates between old skateboard vids, which are a lot of fun, and very melodramatic campfire scenes. Old skateboard vids are fun. Not that this one's fun. Because what I would say about the skateboarding and the surfing and related actions is that they can all competently ride a board and do some basic tricks.
This particular, the scene where he's riding this down this Little Hill is terrifying, and it looks legitimately like the actor was doing it, which was impressive.
I would not do that. I'm not a skateboarder. I would die.
I would.
But there wasn't anything cinematic about that scene. Like they didn't.
There was a plot point for it. Like it just he did it.
I don't. Yeah, I don't mean to cast aspersions here, but something tells me the folks in this movie aren't like full-on pro extreme sports dudes. You know, like they do it. It's a hobby. You know, they're competent, but they're not cinematic level blow you away doing some hot stunts.
I looked it up. This like main actor guy who was doing this is like in his early to mid 40s.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like. It kind of feels out of touch in that way. And that's kind of why it feels like a 2000s movie to me. It's like, this is something you're still into, which is cool.
Yeah.
And it's like a celebration of that stuff. But there wasn't any really like high quality skateboarding action. There wasn't that. It was all like cool skateboarding, but nothing, super fantastic, like a Tony Hawk, whatever pro would do. Yeah. Nobody popped a trick that blew me away. Nobody hit a stunt that really like felt big enough to put in a movie, you know? And it also serves nothing to the plot or the movie or story. Like there's a little bit of a story element there, but then other than it gives it a flavor. Yeah, but it gives it such an overbearing flavor. The overbearing part comes in the melodrama. So I guess we haven't talked about the story at all. So like the main character, his brother, we see him at the beginning of the movie. They have an argument, but then he drives off and he goes missing. Nobody can find his man. A year later, they're kind of trying to recapture and kind of live that dream that his brother had been after. So part of what they're doing is, you know, trying to live his dream, but also kind of mourn his loss. So some really melodramatic dialogue and some really melodramatic, like, not overdubbing. What do you call it? When you talk over the movie. ADR. Voiceover. Yeah. Voiceover. Like, very melodramatic voiceover. Very serious. And like, you know, I believe what I'll give this movie credit for, though, I think the acting performances were believable. Were they Oscar worthy? Were they Oscar worthy? But I'd almost believe they just turned on a camera, because this movie's also a little meta. You know, it's a movie about making a movie. And part of me almost believes they just turned on cameras and there was no script.
Paul said he developed a way to bring surfing back into skateboarding.
Like, I believe that man believes that. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of corny, and we should say we're East Coasters. Yeah. But like, I've seen those dudes in movies. I've seen dudes that passionate. They can seem a little corny, especially if you're not in the scene. But like, sometimes like when you're in your own scene, that you don't see how corny it is to outsiders. You know what I mean? So I found the movie very corny, but like, I didn't find it not believable, at least in terms of characters. You know? Does that make sense?
Sure, except for like there is like a 15-minute campfire scene where the one guy relays his story about how he accidentally
hold on,
and he quotes two Mexican people with like what? Why is it so specific for one?
To be fair, there was 4 melodramatic campfires.
That's true. There literally is. It's ridiculous. But that one, I was like, I don't know about this, guys. This is incredibly.
It's funny. It was the second campfire scene that you're talking about, where the main character, who looks like the full-sized version of the really tiny guy from Game of Thrones. You know who I mean? Tyrion Lannister, I think was the character name. Yeah, okay. He looks like, you know, a guy looks like him, but as tall as me. Face, yeah. But it was actually the first campfire monologue where the other dude, like borderline in tears, is talking about how he was trying to surf when he was, you know, still learning, and he was almost drowning, and the brother who ended up dying, he saved him, and like he was just like I believed every second of that monologue. Oh no! You know what I mean? I thought I made a clip of it. I didn't. How dare you, sir? It was so improv. It did, but in a way that like I really bought each and every one of these characters. Yeah, like.
But I was were you not cringing the whole time? I was
Yes. Okay. I absolutely was. It was cringy, it was corny, and it was 100% believable. Because I feel like I've met these guys. I had a roommate in college. Somebody actually went to your high school. You know him. I don't know if I want to call him out by name here.
Do it. No, it's fine.
we'll talk about it off screen. But like I had a roommate just like these guys in college at one point. So like I don't know. I just like I said, it was a strength of the movie, but it also in a way that might turn people off. So I get it too.
Okay. 100% no. It was a 20-minute cringy melodramatic scene that happened 4 times in this movie, and literally you need to cut an hour out of this movie. The first hour needs to be cut from this movie. And then it's something.
If you're into that West Coast surfer scene, though, I imagine you'd see something in there that you bought. If you live from anywhere else, come across real corny. And we should point out, since our friend Paul just jumped in, that the brother who disappears at the beginning of the movie, his name is Paul.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I get it. These scenes are fun if you're into this kind of thing.
Yeah, but you just showed the best skateboarding action in the movie.
But this is at the cost of a cohesive storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I said it, and I'm legitimately serious. You could cut the first hour of this movie, and it would really change nothing. The whole crux is we need to go back out to where Paul wanted to go or whatever. So the first hour of the movie is them traveling there, stopping for 4 times to have campfires. Meanwhile, in between are skating montages. And it really adds nothing. And then you finally get to the problem where they're in the cave. And that's where like they should use their skateboarding, surfing abilities to overcome the problem. Yeah, but they don't. It's like
if you're gonna set that up, why not include that as part of your resolution? I hear that. I do kind of appreciate a movie that can just shift tones real hard halfway through. I mean, sometimes it's a bad idea, and sometimes it doesn't work, but it could have been really fun here if it did both well.
That was the beauty of The Descent. The first time you watch that movie, for the first 45 minutes, it's just a terrifying spelunking movie, and it is effective in its scary cave stuff. It's the most realistic, and I've never been in a cave, but it was the movie that most made me feel like this is awful, claustrophobic. And then all of a sudden there's the monster, and it's terrifying, and you weren't expecting it, although you probably were if you saw the trailers, but whatever. Like, that was cool and effective. But this, it's like literally starting the movie over.
Yeah,
because they don't really carry anything. It's just like, oh shit, we're skating. Oh fuck, guys. Where's the fucking hole?
Yeah,
like,
and they still have their skateboards, and they occasionally use them, but not in any way that like really spoke to it needing to be related to skateboard. I want to go back to what you were talking about with the first hour of the movie, because I don't think it was as random as you were letting on. It was random, and it felt random, but I think that also speaks to the meta nature of the storytelling. Like they were making a movie about these new. They developed some new skateboarding technology that they gave a half-assed like Star Trek style sci-fi explanation for their new style of skateboard. It's going to change everything, and this movie's going to change the world, man. And they're making this movie, so it kind of like naturally has a little bit of a documentary feel, where it's kind of shifting tones and like going from monologue to skateboarding action to another monologue, and so that felt appropriate to what they were trying to do. It's just like you said, it didn't always work.
Hey, look, I don't know about you guys, but I seriously need to get wet right now.
Yes.
I have more clips, Ian. You keep talking, and then I'll just play a clip. Completely undermine you.
But no, let's shift to the second hour, because it turns into an entirely different movie as soon as they fall in that crack that you showed a moment ago.
And I was hopeful that it'd be something interesting, because I thought there was. I mean, based on that cool the poster artwork, I thought it was going to be a monster.
Yeah.
That looks cool, and what you get is this.
Eventually, in the final 3 minutes.
Which kind of looks like you if I like made you put your hair down and like made you cry by like insulting you a whole bunch.
You usually do that. I leave most of our encounters that way. Yeah, I would say it turns into one of the more frustrating types of movies for me, in that it's the horror movie where like the 520-somethings are all yelling at each other as they try to get from point A to point B. And like there's not enough tension, so we're going to build tension just by having them argue a bunch. And it's always the dude from the one couple fighting with the woman from the other couple, and there's like weird misogyny going on that's unnecessary. And like there's always like, I don't know, just it sucks.
It's rote. I agree, but it also
there isn't enough build up for the monster, for lack of a better word.
But it's carrying through the same thing they did in the fire scenes, where it's like it feels improv. And so when these people aren't that experienced with improv, so they just keep repeating the same shit over and over again, and it becomes annoying. It's like, stop saying that. Like, I don't know. It just...
The number of times they yell Bruce in this movie. Bruce! Bruce! Like, make it a drinking game. You'll die. I promise.
Yeah.
But what is the difference between... Because, like, so many movies get a lot of credit for underusing a monster or a creature effect to great tension. Mm-hmm. But this movie definitely didn't. Like, it had this man monster thing that showed up, but like really in the last 3 minutes.
Dirty man. It's just a dirty man.
Just a dirty man. And like the motivations for that man were very boring.
He's a rapist. That's like that's all he is. That's like
he saw 5 20-somethings or 30-somethings or whatever they are get trapped down in his cave, and all he could think about was how to sleep with the women, and that's all he was after. Okay. Which is a logical thing to want, I guess, but it's boring. It's a boring motivation.
It is weak. That is so fucking weak. After all this shit, we finally get in the cave, and what you're gonna do is just have like this dirty guy molest a bunch of women. It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, just make it a monster. And
I mean, it is a believable response for that man who's trapped in the cave, but it's also very boring and way overused in all movies.
Yeah. I don't even want to think about like the logistics of how he's surviving.
If I was gonna take a pass at the script before it's gonna go into production, I would be like, well, okay, we can set that up as an expectation. So let's have him one by one capture them all and put them in cages. And you think all he wants is to molest the women, but then you find out something much deeper and darker and scarier.
Well, you know, there was a moment in this movie where I thought, oh, there's a twist. Because before the movie ends, and this is spoilers, but it doesn't matter because no one's going to watch this shit.
Nor should you.
Where they introduce cops showing up at the lake. And by the way, how are they surfing at a lake? Like, it's not the Great Lakes. I'm like, there's no wave. There's just what kind of surfing is this?
And they do even kind of like point it out, because like, why do they keep coming here to surf?
Look at this lake. Like, there's nothing. Like, how are you surfing anyway?
Because there's multiple times. Because this is the same lake, we should point out, the same place where their friend disappeared. That was kind of like before they're done making their movie. They're gonna have one last campfire near where he disappeared, and of course they disappear in the same way, presumably. But both times that people disappear here, the cops find surfboards left behind. They're like, what the hell?
Yeah. So the thing of it is, though, there's a moment while we're in the cave, we have all our characters still alive, and there's some drama. But then it cuts to cops showing up at the lake. And it appears to be like in the future or something, because they're like, Chief, you need to come see this. We found something. It's horrible. And you're like, oh, what is going on? Because we know our characters are still alive.
At one point, though, he said it's been a month since they disappeared.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And that confused the hell out of me, because I did not buy that in cave.
No. And so then it cuts back to the movie, and it's still with your characters in the cave, and then whatever happens. But it was like, it felt like I was waiting for a twist, I guess. It kind of like, it either confused me or set me off in a direction that I guess it totally wasn't going for.
I guess we should say the dirty rapist man. He does not show up in the final 3 minutes, as I've charged a couple of times. He does show up in a scene earlier, but then they also play it like it might have just been that girl's dream.
Yes.
She fell asleep having a sexy dream about her boyfriend, and she's having a good time. She's writhing around on the cave floor because, I don't know, I guess that's all you can think about. But then like she starts getting molested by the caveman, but then like they all come over to her like, oh my god, are you okay? And she seems to wake up. She's like, oh, that was not a thing. That was just her being afraid of something. But I guess it was real.
There's a number of scenes in this movie that imply everybody's extremely horny. And when you hit 40 years old, that's what happens. Okay? You become extremely horny. At least that's what I think happens based on this movie.
We'll have to ask Aaron and Spiv if that's the case.
Because there's a number of like weird sex scenes that don't, like, I don't get it, because I get you want to put a sex scene in a horror movie for like titillation and nudity, but they never get to nudity. It's just like,
then
I'm gonna finger you and stuff in the car. I'm like, why?
To be fair though,
in front of my friends.
If you got cast in this movie, would you get naked for it?
I would get, I mean,
is this movie worth it?
For the love of the art, Ian. For the love of the art. We need you to skate around naked, Chris. It's got to be done.
I would watch that, to be fair. I would watch a movie of you skateboarding naked. Can you skateboard? I have no idea.
Hell no. No, I mean, the actors certainly can, though. Because all the actors and actresses do skateboard and surf.
Yeah, and it's clear they're not just using stunt doubles. I don't think they had any stunt doubles for any scene, to the best of my knowledge.
So here's the thing. Boiling this all down. This movie might work for you if you're really into skateboarding and you want to see skateboarding. I
disagree.
Stuff, but it's not cool enough to be really that impressive.
The skateboarding stuff isn't good enough. I would actually compare this movie, rather unfortunately, to a movie we mentioned on our last review, Apocalypse, where we watched this movie that was supposed to be a zombie hockey comedy movie, but it hit none of those things well. So who's this for? If it's not for hockey people, and it's not for horror people, and it's not funny, what did we show up for? And this movie is kind of in that same camp.
Well, it's supposed to be for horror people too.
The horror was okay when they got there eventually, but it wasn't worth. You're so pissed off at how long it took to get there, it didn't matter, because there were some really good shots in that cave.
Yes,
and even with that final scene, you could pull out. Yeah, look at that. That looks awesome. And there's particularly a scene where you can see the opening of the cave, and you see the man in the distance, and it looked incredibly awesome. And in that way, I would compare this movie again, rather unfortunately, to a movie we've covered in the past, and that's Veronica, where it's a goddamn horrible mess of a movie that's not worth watching for any reason, but it does occasionally stumble into a decent shot here and there.
Yeah. I don't have anything against the camera work. There's some weird...
Yeah, camera work was okay.
There's a lot of...
Okay to good.
Not just skating, but like music montages of like cringy early 2000s rock stuff that I just really couldn't get into.
I'll say it kept the pace moving at least.
I'm good. Yo, I got business to talk about. Tom. No, I got your stuff.
Listen, the price is...
So, yeah, like I said...
Gave you COVID.
Imagine how much longer this movie would have felt if you did each one of those bits individually instead of creating a montage and a collage there. It kept the pace moving.
What if those bits weren't really necessary in the movie?
Well, that's a fair point.
You love it, Ian. You love it.
I wanted to love it, Chris. I wanted to love it.
What? Why in the world did you make us watch this? So random.
I'm telling you, you gotta watch the trailer. It looked good in the trailer.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah, like I said earlier, you can cut a trailer out of this. It looks really awesome because, like you said, the camera work is pretty solid.
Yeah.
You know, there's fun elements. You know, all of these elements could be combined into a really fun movie like I've not seen before. It just, I don't know. It's disappointing. I'd say it was more disappointing than it was bad, though. No?
It's bad. Like, even like say we wanted to talk about like the horror stuff. The music that they choose is like this epic string sweeping stuff that doesn't fit at all. It's just really a lot of bad choices being made.
No, the music felt appropriate to the movie.
Not that stuff.
I don't love the movie.
The early 2000s rock shit that played, sure, fit. I hated it. But then they get to like these sweeping strings.
Surfer rock music of the time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, would you recommend the Darkslide?
I would like to close out my recommendation with a quote from the film, Chris. Quote, "This film is gonna make history. But no, you should not watch it."
Yeah, I like the ending monologue where he tells me that no matter what you do, you're still you. And I was like, God damn, that means nothing, but thank you. At least the credits started rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of really melodramatic lines like that.
Like, who writes
I would
that?
say the best thing about this movie is that it is free to watch on Tubi, if you don't mind some commercials. But even then, I don't know that the time isn't free.
I disagree.
So.
I think the best thing about the movie is the poster, which has nothing to do with the
I would say, but the poster's a lie.
I know, but I want to see that movie. And we did not. But that is going to do it for Darkslide. We do not recommend it, but it is available on Tubi if you want to check it out. So we will catch you here next time. Bye.
Goodbye.